to Reframing Mindset podcast, where I clear my head of the thoughts that are preventing clarity, practice my speech, among other things. Episodes range from informative knowledge to funny stories about my experiences, and in the future, maybe include interviews. So subscribe and enjoy. Episodes drop every other day. Okay, welcome back to Reframe Mindset podcast. Again, my name is Connor Brooks, and this episode we're talk about um as an incorrect assumption going to this year, into this let's call it 29 year or stuff like that. So what happens is that you make, as I said, you have goals and dreams. You're just trying to get rich and stuff like that. And if you listen to my episode, what you realize is that the episode, what you each year you make a big proclamation, but it's that it doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen overnight, and sometimes it happens in a way that you don't realize. But it actually, when you actually realize it, no, it actually becomes a lesson that you actually keep forever. Or no, it does. It's not you that you keep forever. You that lesson is actually valid for that moment. It may change at a different reason. It may change at a different level, but at this moment, that so at this moment, it actually this lesson now actually makes sense compared to before. So what happened is that boom, I talk about health insurance and stuff like that. Going to university days, I stuff. In the young primary school days, they have free health check and stuff like that. I would say, okay, get those free health check if you actually come out of poverty or all these stuff. Actually get those stuff cleared up. In university, they going to university is a privilege in the sense that you by going to a prestigious university you get free health care. I guess the university that I actually went to, so I actually used it. But what happens is that you're using it, but the people who are actually doing it are not professionals in a certain way. They're future professionals. They're future professionals, but they're actually getting new practice or something like that. So they're not the worst, but they're definitely not the best in the university years. But yo, they're better than zero. They're better than nothing. So in those university years, they're better than nothing. So, but the next thing is in the working world, now you get another health card again, use it up. But at the same time, you have limits. You have limits. So it's like what I realize is that these stuff you don't make that money when you actually use this stuff. And when you change company, you have to actually work to get it back and all these stuff. So each year you don't get it, you don't make that money. So what happened is that boom, what you actually realize is that each time you reach a new level, say boom, you go through school and all these stuff as a parent and stuff like that, they go through primary school and use some free stuff. It makes sense at a time, and then what happens is that when he matriculates and stuff, the car that a car that he uses no longer is in use. But for some reason, yeah, that's someone like me, actually keep those cards as mementos or stuff like that. What you're gonna reach now, you're gonna realize is that so boom, I talk about the episode where I talk where I talk about so back in the days I would actually use I would not be using certain stuff for what they actually use it. So that was the next level of riches where we like, oh, I won't be used I actually using the candle holders for putting for burning candles and stuff like that. Instead of putting in pen. All the I talk about that. What will happen is that with the card, you're actually using the health card for their purposes. You actually understanding what they are used for. Next thing is that you actually know when it when the use of it expire. When you finish university years, now you look at it and be like, oh my god, I'm fresh out of university. Yay! You know, I'm ready for the working world now. So you enjoy your university years and be like, oh my God, I use the university years to its foolish advantage, come up with my degree and stuff, fresh out of university. When you go into the working world now, you actually be smart enough to be like, okay, yes, I'm actually that's the thing you have to head up as a university graduate to be like, oh my god, no, when I go into the working world, I'll be like, the rookie thing that I actually didn't know in my early years of interviewing was things like health insurance, all those stuff. It was only just asking me for income. I didn't even know what income I actually needed to to survive. I didn't even need know what income I need to survive. But stuff like health insurance, stuff like that. These stuff are part of it. Health is a lot of these stuff. Health and all this. But at the same time, boom, what you're gonna realize is that there's a running around, and each level you're gonna realize that you're carrying each level. If you don't shed certain levels, you're gonna realize that you're carrying dead weight. It is hard to actually tell, and that relates to quality versus quantity. Quality versus quantity. You're going to actually realize that you're actually carrying dead weight to the new level, and you don't realize, and you don't and you're going to be is and what happens is that each level is going to be so much more faster that is going to be scary. Like you're gonna reach a level where you be like, I legit bought this. I legit used this yesterday, and it has no use today, and I have to actually throw it away. So it's like, those are the things you're gonna experience in the next level of riches, where it'll be like, wow, I legit just got, I've never been this rich before. I'd be like, wow, I legit just got this today, and I'm already so giving it away the next day. Wow. Or single use stuff. And it's like, these are the levels you're going to be unlocking. And it's be like, wow, that is actually real. And and the episode about one man's trash becomes another man's treasure is going to be compounded. The trash that you're going to be throwing away is be like, oh my god, bro. Yeah, it's gonna be treasure, bro, like big treasures. Like yeah, but you're going to realize it that you never each use this stuff at its fullest potential, but at this level you're going the core thing you actually have to learn. Alright, it's going to be hard is shedding each level, shedding the past, shedding what to get rid of each level. So, like for example, I talk about the card when they actually use it, or like when they change a company or stuff like that. Certain stuff on the going to relate to another episode that I guess I should mention it before actually. But something as a guy actually learn is that I talk about when you reach a new level, don't forget the lessons from the past level, and that relates to a company. When you actually upgrade for a company, don't forget the lessons from the previous level. I guess maybe I don't actually need to record a new previous episode. What happens is that boom, that relates to treating Jonathan like a boss and stuff like that. What happens is that you're gonna reach a new level, and then something from the previous level is going to what going to make or break you to reach that new level. And what happens is that that new level have all this have answers to what you need from the previous level. The previous level, the new level actually have all the answers that you need from the previous level. But if you actually was out there so messing up and flopping up all these previous level, not taking it seriously, what happens is that when you go back to the previous level, you're going to be out there so and be like, oh my god, you actually so basically what I'm saying is that the next level have all the answers to your previous have all the answers to your problems in the previous level. But if you don't actually take the previous level, this level that you're at no, seriously, you won't reach the next level where be like, oh my god, I wish I actually get these luxuries now. But I did not take those levels seriously. So what will happen is that boom, you're out there. So I talk about my customer service experience. Growing up in my years, I'm like, oh my god, science. You're out there, so that is your future customer service and stuff like that. So boom, go through those experience, do the customer service. Boom. What will happen is that a person now, even if you're doing science, if you don't take those levels seriously, what will happen is that you're going to reach your level, reach your high level. There's a pushing your dream, big science man, and be like, oh my god, praising, and then somebody from the customer service field is gonna be like, gonna come and tear down all those science accomplishments, tear down everything because what those levels, those smaller levels, you actually forgot those humble beginnings. You forgot those levels and be like, oh my god, or there's praising you and be like, oh my god. But then you forgot those levels. You forgot those levels and be like, yeah. When I go back and be like, oh, oh, it's you from back in the days. And be like, so when you actually reach this level, so when you actually reach this level, you're gonna realize you have work experience and stuff like that. You actually get more smarter. But the difference between you making that $1 million and $1 million per month and all these stuff now is the previous levels now. We're actually coming now, putting in a resume and all these stuff. The right now at this point your resume is supposed to tell you like boom, $500,000 legit. At this point, we actually come in and be like, oh yeah, $500,000 legit. But what also happened is that all the lessons that you gain from the previous years now is actually going to give you the other $500,000 per month. So what happened is now you're going to the interview and be like, okay, yeah, your resume alone say, yo, this brother deserve $500,000 or more. Then the other things now is like, okay, do you have insurance including all these stuff and all this? They'll give you the next 300 grand. And then what will happen is that due to the experiences now, we actually go in there and be like, okay, yeah, that was actually what you're gonna actually maybe realize is that these are your theory, but naturally you're going to be more uh, it's going to be easier to actually get accustomed. You're gonna be running through those phases, the phases of the training phase, all these stuff easy, and that's basically going to happen in the working world. That's basically how the working world is. I talk about the power of the HR. HR doing something like mass recruiting, get a bag of resume. So sometimes you can't bash the HR. They're out there to getting a bag of resume and all these stuff, various experiences. And what will happen at each level now, your experiences, your individual experience compounds. Your individual experience compounds, and then boom, that's how I guess that compounds to how a company can just come in and be like, oh, you deserve this amount because what happens is that company reputation and everything just come in and be like, okay, boom, we're just gonna hire. By the time you reach us, you and all these stuff, we have all the requirements to actually turn you into a competent person. By the time you reach us, you would have actually by the time you actually reach us, you actually gain all the knowledge and all this. So all those running around is actually the stuff that is actually the rat race that we actually have to do to actually reach that. So it's actually sad. It's actually sad, and the higher people is actually looking at us in the lower levels, running around, putting in the work, and be like, yeah, I was there once. I was there once too, but those things are gonna build you. Ain't gonna hate it every day. But you're gonna maybe appreciate it more. Yeah, so that's basically it for for that episode where I actually forgot the main point. But what I was actually saying was something about yeah the previous level. Talk about the previous level. Um, I was talking about something. I actually forgot. Actually, oh yes. So the main episode is that for each level you're going to realize that. So I talk about April. So April spring cleaning. There's in the fourth level of home ownership. There's a spring cleaning your house and stuff like that. Even a company, university years are gonna realize that, and these are the years that actually realizes that. So of the assumption that I made in my years coming up aren't wrong. It's just that at the time I I couldn't tell you the full exact reason, but I know naturally now. It makes sense now. So, and that's the thing about hindsight, where you be like, okay, yeah, bro. Things though, it you have to actually take the time and actually sit down and think about it and be like, yeah, these you actually have to be like, yeah, sit down. It don't happen overnight. But you actually be like, yeah, you take your time and you will say, oh yeah, this is the reason why it actually. When you take the time and sit down, you realize, okay, most of these stuff I don't need for this level that I'm going in. I can actually throw away 90% of all these stuff from this level. And what happens is that you're going to realize that each level is not wrong. Each level is actually important. But each level is actually important, but it's just that you you have to sit down and be like, okay, all these stuff are you have to actually go to the training. You have to actually be like you can't start off with. You actually have to do the training real phase crawl before you run. That's basically the essence of the episode. You do the crawling phase, and then when you start to walk now you actually take away all the days off. You forget all you throw away all the days that of not of the creeping days away. You don't need those. But you don't forget what happens is that naturally as you go older, you don't forget those lessons. But at the same time, you certain stuff on those lessons is not going to be beneficial to that level unless you going back. So that's basically this episode will be like, yo, they these these years going to these years are going to realize naturally you're going to be out there so throwing out you're going to actually your money is made by naturally knowing what to get rid of. I know which level you're at. You'll be like, this is the reason why now this happens, why this happens, and you actually learn. This is where you actually come in and learn. You learn through experience. You'll be like, and so you learn and be like, okay, for the vacation, I actually experienced vacation now. It was the best thing from the vacation was the fact that I actually wasn't working, but the vacation wasn't as good as I thought. Then you go back to work and be like, oh my god, what's the use of a vacation, bro? Why in the world would I actually do a vacation, bro? Because I have to wait so long to actually go back to work. Then what will happen is that when you actually take the time and plan for a vacation, actually go there, you're gonna be like, oh my god, that's the reason why I see so many people working hard every day at work because wow, those month that month of vacation is actually worth the years of actually coming and actually years of out there so toiling in the sun or lifting or taking calls and all these stuff, all the years. What happens is that you're gonna realize. back to the previous episode I talk about vacation industry. Well, not the previous episode I talk about the vacation industry. Our industry in general, idea is to counteract a different industry. You're gonna be like, oh my god, I'm gonna appreciate that industry so much because yeah, I'm gonna look forward to that industry so much. But at the same time, you're going to be smart enough now to be like, oh, I can throw away all these stuff now from this level. Because what will happen is that you're going to be out there so carrying vacation stuff to work. Yeah, that's going to be the so that's the reason for this episode. We're like, oh, you're gonna be carrying vacation stuff to work and be like, that doesn't make sense. You're gonna be carrying vacation stuff to work and be like, oh, that doesn't make sense. So that's the important thing for this lesson. Be like, oh, you're going each levels are important for you to get this stuff, but the important thing now is actually separating those levels. Be like, oh, I'm bringing morning stuff to a party. I'm bringing sadness to idea. Oh, I'm bringing celebration to a day of mourning. Yeah, yeah. So it's like, oh yeah, yeah. That was yeah. So it's actually you're gonna actually realize, oh, that was you're actually doing the wrong stuff. So you're gonna be like, oh yeah, nothing is actually wrong. You just that it's not the time for that. Yeah. So and the reason why and it's gonna take you to be like, okay. So the previous we talk about information shopping. I talk about information shopping and going around and say, okay, I want to open bank accounts. Go to the different banks and be like, okay, what you need to actually open your bank account? And then what we say, boom, I need to get these stuff. Then we actually successfully open a bank account. Back to the next episode where I talk about the first that I mentioned. Reading is fundamental. You actually have to read the stuff and be like, oh my god, this is what I do now because I unlock this stuff now from the information that I actually search for. Then when actually unlock it, get the stuff, you can throw away that information now because it's in your head. You memorize it now, and you naturally become knowledgeable of the fact that okay, this is what it's used for. So you walk around light. You walk around light because what you took the time to read, you search for the information. You actually you search for the information, you read it, then you understand it, then it becomes second nature where you throw away all the training phase. You throw away all the training phase and be like, this is actually what I was supposed to be doing. I'm naturally doing this stuff that this is supposed to be doing because I actually did the training. Because I took the time to read it, understand it, then actually apply it. And then it becomes a point. So that's how it becomes, we call it muscle memory. And then boom, you're out there so walking around light, walking around light, and be like, oh, wow. You're out there so walking around light, and be like, how the hell are you all so prepared? Because from the previous phase, I talk about information shopping. So I talk about the first phase where I talk about the stuff I actually wanted. Then I actually found out the requirements, and I thought the requirements was impossible. Then realized that some of the impossible requirements became possible, and when they became possible, now what happens is that I manifested. Then I actually had to read to learn, understand how to maintain it. And when I understand how to maintain it now, I can actually throw away all those previous levels now, and then boom, I feel so light. I'm like, oh my god, how the boss looks so light? How the hell this person is walking around with a degree, bro? This person at university graduated and it looks like bro. This person went through 3 years at university, bro, and it looks like a person walking on the street, bro. Cause those years I was actually reading, bro. Those years I was actually reading, bro. So I actually read these stuff. So actually becomes yours. I am the product now. I am the product now. I am the product of all those lessons, bro. So you're listening to me now, and then you actually see me and be like, oh, these are all the lessons that I actually learned. This is 2025 me now, bro. This is what it takes to become Colin, actually. Yeah. So that's basically it for this episode. I'd be like, yeah, when you actually become, so yeah, so the important thing for this episode is that sometimes you have to actually just take yourself away, take the L to get the double as they say. Actually, just take yourself to remove yourself and be like, okay, and that go out and search for the information. Go search, know about the information that you want to search for it, and read it. You have to actually take the time and read it, bro. Cause that was it. Actually take the time and read it, bro. And then when you actually understand it, it becomes second nature. And you're actually you're the actual walking information. That's what it becomes. You're actually the walking information. You're actually the product of what you actually research. So boom, they come in, they that's legit it. Where where become a robber is actually more stupid. When you actually understand the stuff, a robber is actually more stupid to be a robber robbing you. Even if they become a killer, they're actually more stupid for trying to kill you because you're literally you actually understand the information. So you become the product. You become the product and be like, wow, the robber now and the killer have to be like, oh wow, I actually have to learn this stuff for myself because you have to, I don't know. I'm just kidding, bro. I'm just kidding, bro. But hey, this podcast is here because if the robbers and killers now can actually take this information and be like, oh, I can actually take this stuff to the bank now. You know, actually, I can actually give up the life of crime and be like, oh, yeah, take this stuff to the bank now. Yeah, but that actually is stuff where be like, oh yeah, you actually reach each level is a test. They give no each level will give you a certain tools, understand the tools, then the the task to reach the next level is learning when to throw away all the tools and be like, oh my god, all those tools don't make sense anymore. That's when you reach the new level. That's when you reach the new level and be like, oh my god. That's where you reach a point where you be like, oh my god, you can break me down in 3 days and rebuild, become Jesus, bro. You become the great Jesus. You can tear down my temple and I rebuild it in 3 days, bro. And the people is like, how the hell can this guy? What the hell is the guy saying, bro? Because what happened was that all the lessons that he garnered didn't make sense by the time that you actually going to tear down his temple, bro. So by the time you actually going to tear down his temple, it's like, bro, all the lessons I actually garnered, you're actually helping me at this time. Because what happened was I was walking around with too much baggage, bro. No, that's the reason why when Jesus resurrected, he actually was flying, bro. Because he was walking around with too much baggage, bro. He actually flew to heaven, bro. Because what happened was that they actually he was walking by the time that he actually reached those point now where the people them actually get tired of him. He actually was walking around with too much baggage. So it was like he actually just be like, you know, you actually made me lighter so I can actually fly. Yeah, bro, and that's how Jesus actually reach do his stuff, reach perfectly to heaven and be like, yeah. By the time I actually meet him, he was actually learning. He actually learned the lessons and be like, oh wow, I'm out there so reaching heaven, bro. You actually reaching, you actually helping me go to heaven. So That's basically it for this episode. Thank you for listening and look forward for the next episode. Okay.
Well, this is the end of the episode. Thanks for watching and look forward for the next episode. To support this podcast, go to anchor.fm/cssb/support or become a sponsor for this episode. If you have a product that you want to have more exposure, DM me on the Instagram page Reframing Mindset Podcast or on Twitter at ReframingP. Either way would help. Thank you regardless for listening, and here's a preview for the next episode.